Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
The similarities and difference between sex and sadhana. There are 5 basic differences that I can come up with that distinguish sex from sadhana. There is also one unique similarity that sex and sadhana share. The similarity is both sex and sadhana are striving to find something that is beyond themselves. Both of them are trying to identify some portion of Brahman that is beyond what they deemed as self. Sex used the power of ego, glorified ego, to distinguish its fragment as self and then engage with another fragment, the sexual counterpart, to understand them in a very precarious, absurd, quick and dirty way. Since it was quick, it did not comprehend the details, and since it was dirty, it never clarified, instead it muddled the understanding even more. Sadhana, what we call in Bhagavad Gita as yoga, as the spiritual, adhyatmic practices that help to dissolve the self into the Shiv-Chit or the ocean of consciousness of the cosmic consciousness, is the practice of sadhana. And the 3 practices outlined in Bhagavad Gita are of Bhakti Yoga, surrender of ego to identify something bigger, better than the so-called self; Karma Yoga, selfless pursuit of goal-directed activities to better the family, community, society, nation, planet; and Dhyan Yoga, which is relentless introspection, questioning the self in terms of thoughts, emotions, practices that shape our personality. So, sex is the quick and dirty way, and sadhana, slow, persevering, patient way of finding the eventual target, the supreme absolute truth, the Brahman, if you will, through very, very different paths. So we will use 5 different parameters to distinguish sex from sadhana. Those 5 will be of Prakriti, Maya, Gun, Karma, and Katop. Because Prakriti has Maya and Gunas playing in it, and the interplay of Maya and Gunas creates the karmas. And all this has been delineated in the Kathopa Upanishad. So we'll use Prakriti, Maya, Gun, Kathopa, and Karma and Kathopa to understand the differences between sex and sadhana, with the understanding and respect for sex as much as for sadhana, that it was a urge, a desire to know something beyond the self. So let's come to Prakriti. When Krishna says that there are 8 forms of Prakriti, the 5 lower, Bhumi, Rapo, Nano, Vayu, Kham, Mano, Buddhi, Revcha, Ahankar, Ityam mein bhinna Prakriti Rashtha. So Mahabhut of fire, earth, air, water, ether represent the lower Prakriti. Then comes Bhumi, Apnali, Vayu, Kham, Mano, Buddhi, Revcha. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, Ityam mein bhinna. So Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, which is mind, intellect, and ego, are the upper Prakriti. Now, here he does not include, like we know that we have another strata that says Indriyani Paranunde Paramana Manasastu Parabuddhayo Buddhe Partastusa, which says Indriyani are the Indriyani are below the Man, and the Man is below the intellect, and intellect is below the Sa. Now, whether Sa refers to Chitta, Shiv Chitta, Atma is open to interpretation, but Sa is like wo, that. Now, keep figuring out what that is. That's what life is about. So, here, Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, Kham, Mano, Buddhi, Revcha, Ahankar. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. So, you have to understand that the Man itself is containing the Indriya, because of the Man is said to be the leader of the Indriyas. So, Man is the modified, higher, purified, distilled version of the senses or the Indriya. So, basically the Indriya, Man, Buddhi and Ahamkar, if you will, are also components of Prakriti, but the higher Prakriti. So, sex uses the power of Man and Ahamkar to dictate the interplay, pranic interplay of the Mahabhut. The Panch Mahabhut that formed this body, the self, is trying to understand the Panch Mahabhut that formed another body, and it is using the power of the vibrant dynamic prana to observe the interplay that is created out of the interaction of two individuals. And more profound, covert observations. So it is kind of a tamasic observation. First of all, it has tried to create and instill. It's like dropping a pebble in a quiet pond. It is creating ripples so that it can observe something extroverted, because it is unable to comprehend the beauty of the inner self or the introvert observations. So, sex is a way to understand another fragment of the Brahman, which is our sexual counterpart. And because it is quick and dirty, it just uses the dopaminergic forces to understand that individual, and hence fails miserably. So Prakriti at the level of sadhana, I should say at the level of sex, represents the dictated power of the manas, ahamkara, and indriya, which are the upper level Prakriti, trying to understand the mahabhuts or the lower level Prakriti. So they are utilizing the sensation of smell from the earth, or taste from water, or the various body secretions in this case, and form from fire, so how the figure is, so-called figure of our sexual partners, and feel how that from air, the fire of figure and the feel of air, the touch sensation, and the sound from ether. All these 5 mahabhuts, so smell, taste, form, feel, sound, all these 5 are enjoyed by the ahankar vimudhatma. So this enjoyment sensation of the mahabhuts, dictated by the ahamkar, man, and indriya, is the interplay of sex. Now, buddhi does not take part in this. You see, there is a fulfillment of desire, the desire to know someone intimately, profoundly, covertly, which the buddhi does not agree with. The buddhi is wisdom, and wisdom will always question. You see, observation created a curiosity. Curiosity created two sons. One was wisdom, and the other is desire. So, desire and wisdom are siblings with strong sibling rivalry. Desire is a maverick. It doesn't even agree with the sibling and not even with the mother which gave rise to it, curiosity. It says, I do it, just do the way I tell you. Don't question me. Don't ask me the ethics or the reasoning behind. In fact, don't even spend time, any moments wasting whether what I have suggested could be wrong. What do you think is this power that says, do as I say, don't question at all what I am telling you? This could be only two things. This could be faith, which will send you back to the Brahman, or this could be pramad, the height of delusion, which could lead you to slow destruction. So desire can be faith or desire can be delusion. I leave it to you to figure out whether when we engage in sex, it is faith or it is delusion. Faith is consolidated in one single supreme entity. If you think of your sexual counterpart to be that, then it is faith. But if there is a intense quench to satiate the senses by enjoying the Mahabhut and getting the dopaminergic surge, you are totally fine even if you don't feel sensually activated or get a orgasm. Then it is not for the sexual drive. I don't know what it is for then, if it was not for the sexual endpoints. So that itself answers the question that sex is selfish. Sex is selfish. Sex is for the self-gratification intimately and intensely, because you're not able to get the same juice out of life in general. So you are withdrawing to this sudden, quick surge of dopamine that will make me feel better. It's like giving steroids in an infection. You will feel better for a short being, but you haven't killed the virus. You haven't killed the bacteria. So the symptoms will come back. The symptoms of frustration, anger, symptoms of low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, fear, panic attacks, all these will get worse with the constant practice of sex and doesn't lead to elevation in the spiritual platform. So this is Prakriti. Prakriti, using the higher Prakritis selectively, Ahamkara, Man and senses, to dictate and demand pleasure, to squeeze pleasure out of the Mahabhut through those senses, the five that I said. That is the game of sex. Sadhana will use the eighth element of Prakriti, which is Buddhi. Mano Buddhi Revcha Ahankarityam Bhinna. So it is using the Buddhi, the delineating intellect, the second son of curiosity, wisdom. Whether you call it knowledge, vidya, wisdom, intellect, you are referring to buddhi. And sadhana uses the buddhi. Bahunam janm namante gyanvan man prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma durlabh. After many births, who has got this gyan, that Vasudev, which refers to the Shivchit, the super consciousness, the nucleus of the atom, the center of the solar system, that is Shivchit, super consciousness, the Sa. Though utilizing the buddhi to question the weave, the intricate weave of Maya, Prakriti, Guna, Karma, that is sadhana. And hence, it tries to liquidate the vasanas in the Dhyan Yoga. It tries to burn off its karma using Nishkam Karma Yoga. It tries to annihilate the ego using the power of Bhakti Yoga. I am nothing, you are everything. So that's why whether it is Dhyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, any yoga is a pursual of eventual Gyan Yoga. And Gyan leads to peace, peace leads to bliss. This is the role of intellect in creating, understanding the superconsciousness. So sadhana utilizes the higher prakriti of buddhi to understand the supreme absolute truth, whereas sex uses the remaining upper levels of prakriti, which is man and ahankar, along with the indriya, to enjoy, squeeze pleasure out of the mahabhut, to understand it. So you know who fails. Sex will fail because it hasn't utilized the highest power, buddhi. It hasn't questioned its act. It said, desire, do as I say, don't question me at all. Come to the second level. The second level after Prakriti is of Maya. So Maya represents this Iksha Dvesh Samuthen Dvan Mohen Bharta Sarbhutani Sammohan Sarge Yanti Parantapa. This duality polarity, this creation of opposites out of a single nucleus, like a proton and an electron, a plus and a minus, a yin and a yang. In reality, there is only one existence. This fragmenting of the unit into two interacting, counteracting parts is the game of delusion. Iksha and Dvesh, desire and aversion. That is the game of Maya, and we are constantly attaching to I like this, I like Coca-Cola, you like Pepsi. I like fruit juice, you like blending smoothies. So everybody is basically creating finer and finer subdivisions or fragments out of the unit totality, which is indistinguishable. Prithak tu yaj jnanam nana bhavan prithak vidhan vetti sarveshu bhuteshu taj vidhi rajsam. If you try to find splitting hairs, minute differences between this is little different from this, sub-classifications in the already classified versions, that losing the forest for the trees, this tendency of delineating, distinct, making things more and more different from each other is getting deeper in the Maya. That is why sex will never get satisfied with one counterpart. Love will always remain satisfied, peaceful with the single counterpart. Sex or lust will never satiate with the same individual. It will always ask the mind, because the senses are controlled by the mind. So they always try to revolt against the mind. They try to break the structure that created them. Like desire tries to matricide, kill its mother, curiosity. Do as I say, don't question me. And observation, which gave rise to curiosity, was born out of this permissive ability to question the observations that you are seeing. Hence the wisdom arose. So desire, by muting and choking and suffocating curiosity, is perpetuating more and more desires. Senses, by choking the desire center mind, which is supposed to be controlling the senses, is trying to run amok. So the role of Maya is to create a delusionary web of sub-classifications in which you will get totally enthralled and captured. You are incarcerated when you just went to go as a visitor. You can check in anytime, but you cannot leave, as Hotel California song says. So it's very dangerous path that we are going down the rabbit hole. There is point of no return. That is why Krishna says, Tanam dushta kuran sansareshu naratman chupame jaswaram subhana shirushve viyanusi asuram yonima panna muddha janmani janmani mram pape konte yandadhamam gatim. Once you are in the path of ahankar, bal, darpam, kam, krocha, sanshita, mamatma pardeheshu pradushanto besuyeka. Once you are in the path of this hypocrisy, arrogance, lust, anger, greed, These things are sinking you deeper and deeper into the karma bandhan, loading the subconscious samskaras more and more, creating intense proclivities, profanities, which you will feel compelled to act out. Atken prayuktoyam papam charti purusha. Why do I feel compelled to be acting out these sinful kamanas or desires, which I know it is wrong? Buddhi is being selectively silenced. But buddhi itself is arising or is a son of observation or chitta. So awareness will never go away. You can mute it. You can kill the intellect for the time being. Or I should say, you can torture and emaciate it for the time being. But you can never murder it. You can never destroy it. Vinash kale viparit buddhi. But vinash kal is also a kal. And kal or time itself changes. So buddhi will spring back. And consciousness never dies. You cannot kill the awareness. You might mute it during period of heightened delusion or pramad, as in case of desire of lust or sex. But sadhana will always return, even in the most sociopath, psychopath, serial killer, serial rapist, serial murderer. This thing has been silenced. The intensity is different, but chitta will never go away. So, my friends, sex is the heightened state of delusion or maya, which is trying to find divisions and subdivisions. I am different than you, your skin color, your skin texture, the way you smell, the way you make me feel. Those things are all play of delusionary maya to enthrall us in the act of sex, creating duality, polarity. Now, the other aspect is sadhana. Sadhana is destroyer of delusion. Moh is destroyed. Dhyaito vishyan punsa sangesh te shubhjayate. Sangat sanjayate kama. The fire of calm or desire happens from repeated ruminations, which creates attachment. So if you see a girl every day, if you are watching movies which are having sensual arousing capability, effect of guna, if you are reading about that stuff, if you have heard that to be normal for individuals and the peers to be engaging in, that will seem normal. But once you are in the world of a sadhana or yogi, to him sex is very abnormal. It is very much a force that will destroy the development of adhyatma. So sex has to be exercised selectively with the understanding that it is an outplay of our past karmas or sanchit karma. We will come to that. But it is important to understand that sadhana destroys the delusionary web of maya, and sex will prolong, perpetuate, and grow the delusionary web of maya, sinking us deeper in karma bandhan and making our load of samskaras in the subconscious even bigger. More offloading will be required through more lives, punarjanam. So that is the difference between sex and sadhana on the platform of maya or delusion. Come to the third platform. The maya itself creates, Prakriti creates maya, and the maya creates the gunas. These gunas are sattva, rajas, and tam. Sattva is of balanced goodness, rajas is of fiery passion, and tamas is of unquestioned, extinguished awareness, constant delusion, inertia, laziness, sloth. So, maya is always trying to cycle between these three channels to create the chitta in the world of prana. And the longer the chitta engages with these extreme polarities, more so, because maya, is iksha, dvesh, samuthen, dvand, mohin, bharata. You are trying to create the polarity of iksha and dvesh. Two distinguished, distinctly appearing polarities. Polar itself means extreme opposites. So that has to be created using the gunas. So we know that sattva is the state of balance. When you are balanced, you cannot have extreme polarities. So sattva itself negates the formation of maic delusionary forces, rajas and tamas. So sattva is going to neutralize both the rajas and tamas, but it will take long perseverance for sattva to destroy it. That's why we use the fiery portion of the gunas, which is the passion or rajas, to get rid of certain addictions, personality changes that have seemed to enthrall and capture us in the web of Maya. So, sattva, rajas, and tamas are the three gunas. And when we are engaging in sex, we are using the fiery passion to understand it. It's like the first curiosity that leads to formation of desire and wisdom propping from the chitta. Similarly, the fiery passion, what does it feel like to embrace a girl? What does it feel like to melt a cookie in my mouth? That curiosity, because it doesn't know, it hasn't experienced how the guna with the guneshu, the indriya with the indriyartheshu, the interaction of the mahabhut with the indriya, bhumi rapanono vayu kham, mano buddhirevcha, how does the interaction of the gross mahabhut in the nature of prakriti happen with the subtle upper nature, mano buddhi ahankar? How does that interaction feel? That experience is life. That experience is sex. So sex is a very profound, pure way of experiencing the Mahabhut, no question. But after you have experienced that, the rajas suddenly turns into tamas. The fiery passion has been locked, incarcerated, sequestered in the domain called tamas, the dark cellar where there is no light. There is no ability to question. Do as I say. Don't question me. That realm of guna is called tamas. That realm of guna is repetitive, unquestioned engagement in an activity that you first started doing, namely sex. So sex is the initiated by rajas, curiosity, passion, and perpetuates in unquestioned continued engagement in that activity. And even if you don't enjoy that much, you still do it because you don't know any other way. You don't know your way out. So you're trying to find new differences within it. If you have a certain body type that you used to like, you will see slowly you will find, oh, I would like something different. If I like heavy set personalities, slowly I will like slim girls. If I like a little extreme fair pasty girls, I would certainly like a little tan girls. It will always play with your mind because the senses are trying to control the man. It is always trying to send you mixed signals. It is always trying to tell you go for something different because desensitization of the receptors happens. Once the ligand binds to the receptor, you're trying to modulate the receptor. You're trying to change the mind that desires what it wants. But keep wanting. Don't give up on me. Keep wanting something. Keep the guna attached to the guneshu. That is the plead of sex. That is the rise in rajas and perpetuate in tamas play of sex. Sadhana uses sattva. Sadhana also can use rajas and tamas, but it modifies it. First, it understands the levity. First, it uses the levity of sattva to understand what is going on. Let me reverse engineer. Understand what's happening. Okay, Prakriti created Maya. Delusionary web, duality, polarity. This duality polarity had three sons, sattva, rajas and tamas. And they don't get along very well. They try to tell that I am the best. Sometimes sattva will predominate on rajas and tamas. Sometimes rajas will predominate on sattva and tamas. And sometimes tamas. Most of the times, Kali Yuga, tamas is predominating on rajas and sattva. So these three siblings are coming from the mother, Maya. Mother Maya is coming from Prakriti. So these three siblings use the power of rajas, initiate curiosity, and perpetual unquestioned activity of tamas to engage in sex. Sadhana uses sattva to question, hey, why do you need this curiosity again? Why are you repeatedly engaging in this activity which does not make any sense, that causes loss of some dhatu from your body, makes you feel more tired? At the end, long term, it might make you feel better in the beginning, just for a few seconds, 5 seconds of enjoyment. And then you are kind of out of energy. If you eat too much, you feel so tired. If you engage in sex and there's loss of body fluids, you feel again very tired. Why is this tiredness there? You had dropped the prana. The vata has not been able to convert into prana. Vata increases. The tej has dropped. The oj has dropped. So all the doshas are accentuated by the activity of sex, and pratyahara is going to destroy all the gunas and the doshas. So sadhana uses the sattvic force to understand what's going on, the delusionary web of Maya creating the three modes of nature, one of which it itself is a sattva. And then it reverse engineers. Why do you need this curiosity, Rajas? Why are you perpetually engaging in sex, tamas? And then it questions and understands the delusionary web that created it to overcome the web. That is sattva. That is sattva gyan. And then it finds its way in bhakti yoga, karma yoga, and dhyan yoga. The tamas, which is, I don't know, I have to enjoy, I have to do this. So it will say, okay, listen to these beautiful songs. You love songs, you love listening, you love the akash. I will give you akash, ether. I will give you sound, which is the primordial sense that was formed and creating other mahabhuts. So they engage in bhakti yoga, chanting, I am nothing, you are everything, annihilate the ego. Or they will say, okay, I don't like listening to these songs. They are boring songs. Let me go and do something real in this world. Karma yogi. Let's go serve our families, our society, community, nation, or the whole planet. That is karma yoga. And then there is dhyana yoga, which says, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to listen to anything. I want to get the real truth. That is dhyana yoga. Very hard to do. Sit quietly. Contemplate on the self. What activities am I doing? Who am I? How did I get here? Why do we need sex again? Questioning every single truth as we know it. That is Dhyan Yoga. Happens only when you have engaged in certain level of Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga. Some Pratyahara that you have done, intermittent fasting, alkaline water, the Kumbhak Pranayama or the Dhyan Yoga. All these things, questioning yourself all the time. That tendency is of the contemplative abilities. Contemplation liquidates vasana through curiosity. So sadhana is the ability to recognize sattva as supreme and highest of the three, sattva, rajas and tamas, and then using sattva to transform tamas into bhakti yoga, rajas into karma yoga, and sattva itself is dhyan yoga. And all these three yogas are leading to gyan yoga, because gyan will lead to peace. So that is the practice of sadhana, using the power of sattva to transform all three gunas, so that you're not in the mode of rajas. Let's find out how would it feel to embrace this girl. And once you embrace, I can't let you go, honey. It feels so good. Only for a short being. So that sexual delusionary web has been cast off by the sattvic sadhana. Come to the next level, the fourth level, the level of karma. Whenever we have approved of this delusionary web called Maya, to engage in the curiosity created by the Maya, the rajasic excitation of passion, or the tamasic perpetual engagement of whatever excitation that first created it, we have created karma. Karma is an activity. It is just like your checked-in baggage. The checked-in baggage you have thrown away and you're going on this journey. But when you reach your destination, karma will be delivered to you. So think of the higher prakriti, indriyani, man, buddhi, ahamkara as your carry-on baggage. And think of all the mahabhut enjoyment that the indriyas will engage you in, and those activities that were created out of these guna with guneshu, indriya with indrayadeshu bonds as karma. That will be delivered to you as the sanchit karma. So karma here, we are more concerned about sanchit, prarabdha and agami. Sanchit is all the karmas that you have performed in the past, either this life or past lives, that have not resulted. This is a repository. This is your parking garage. Everything is parked in here. And all the bows in the arrow, in the tarkash, I should say all the arrows in the tarkash, or the quiver, I think it's called, the container for the arrows, is the collected sanchit, aggregated karma. It will slowly unfold over lives That's why Punarjanam happens, so that you can burn off these karmas. The second one is prarabdha karma, the karma that has already been loaded on the bow and that is being shot at you. Now, this one, the trajectory you can change, but the target it has to hit. Whether target you are or someone else is, that is something that Tantra can change it. But Yoga tells you, just take it, baby. Because at this point, it has been loaded and shot off in your direction. So don't try to muck with the laws of karma. If some suffering comes, gracefully accept it, because that way you have burnt it off. If you try to deviate its path to somebody else or some other way, that can bounce back later as a different sanchit karma. So prarabdha ko ho jane do. That is the theory of prarabdha. And agami is whatever you are going to engage in based on your samskaras, some subconscious findings, subconscious beliefs, thoughts. Those things will turn as behaviors and model your personality, right? So the innate nature is what samskara is. Personality is what you have congregated through acting out that innate nature in this present life. It will further sink in as another impression, which will be your modified new samskara for a future life. So what you are doing right now is going to determine your samskaras in future life. That is why present matters. So, sanchit karma ke karan, due to sanchit karma, we are compelled to have sex because we have done it before and we kind of know what it was, but we have forgotten. So the curiosity, hey, what is this? Let's figure this out. That is why we first time have curiosity to have sex with our opposite sex or whatever excites our mind. That is because there is some sanchit karma that has been performed in the past and it is slowly being loaded. Come puberty, prarabdha has been loaded on the bow, ready to be shot at you. Call it the hormonal surge or pehli paar hua hai. So that feeling, the newness will create this heightened surge of dopamine. That is the beauty of the first time exposure of the senses to the object of sensual attachment, whether it is cookies in your mouth or another person embracing, hugging or acting out your sexual desires. So basically that we are attracted towards sex even as a kid. We want to embrace or touch them even if we don't know what the actual modus operandi is. That is because of past samskaras. That is because of the sanchit karma loading one after another as prarabdha karma on the bow and being shot at us. So understand and respect sex because it is something that we have been bound by. Atkem prayuktoyam papam jarti purusha. Started with curiosity, ended as unquestioned performance of the activity without questioning the basis of having that activity, tamas. But karma as sanchit will cause us to engage again, load the arrows on the prarabdha and shoot at us as cravings, desires, this horniness, this feeling to do something and you feel totally man machal gaya. You cannot hold yourself back. That is because of the last samskaras. So that is why we are compelled into sex. When he says kamesh, krodhesh, rajagun, sant, bhava, mahashano, mahapapma, vaidyanam, hi varanam, it is kam. This desire and krodh, when of course you don't get what you want, frustration call it, those two are leading the people into papa or sin. But where does the kam come from? The first curiosity that created the chitta into wisdom and desire, more so desire than wisdom, leads to kam. So on the level of karma, it is an interplay of sanchit and prarabdha to perform the sex. And sadhana is more questioning these karmas. So whereas sex is building more agami karma by doing the same activity again and depositing it back as a sanchit in our quiver, more arrows in the quiver that have to be shot as prarabdha one after the other, the sadhana is going to break all the arrows in the sanchit karma. What has been loaded You will still feel. That is why all these yogis, gurus, who are still persevering in sadhana, they will get these pangs of yearning, the pangs of going back to the worldly life, eating some more cookies, embracing some more women, enjoying, watching all sorts of things. So, enjoyment of prayer, I will come to it in the fifth, will there be, because of the prarabdha, some arrows have still been loaded on the bow, so they will be shot at you. Now, whether you embrace the arrow and get hurt by it, or just break the arrow when it is shot at you, is up to you. If you are able to not be affected by it, sthit pragya, then there are no arrows left. There will be no more testing that will be done for you. You have passed all the tests. There are no arrows left in the quiver. There is nothing left to be shot. That is called burning of the karmas. So sadhana, by doing the Dhyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga, is either facing the arrows that have been loaded on the prarabdha, or by questioning itself. Because what does Dhyan Yoga do? It says, why do you feel like that? Why do you want to engage in that thing? Why is the manas dirty? Why am I getting these thoughts? It breaks all the arrows that are lying in the quiver box. संचित कर्मा को तोड़ देता है. और जो प्रारब्ध पे लटा हुआ है तो उसको तो फायर होती है तो उसको झेलता है. It still graciously, gracefully, with humility, it will face the consequences. So not to get perturbed. Whenever something bad happens to you, you feel, oh my God, thank you. At least एक तो arrow गया. The prarabdha only, there's limited number of arrows you can load on the string, the bow. So be happy that this thing has happened when you're doing good. When you're doing good and something bad happens to you, you should be extremely happy. Because some big prarabdha has been offloaded off you. And you're already burning the sanchit. Sadhana is already burning all the sanchit karmas. So all that there is left to be burnt is the prarabdha. So face the prarabdha and be happy that nothing bad will happen in the future. That is the beauty of sadhana on the platform of karma. Last one is just a reflection in the scriptures, Kathopanishad. So think of sex in terms of prayer, which is, Kathopanishad says there's two kinds of gratification. If you're looking for success or hitting your target in life, think of Shreya, which is the long-term gratification, or think of Priya as the instant gratification. So pleasures are your Priya, instant gratification, and bliss, perpetual, undisturbed serenity of an ocean is the long-term gratification. So sattvic practices will lead to Shreya, and rajasic practices will lead to Priya. So when you have the ability to, in a way, torture yourself, because what is austerities? Yajna, dan, tap, karma. When you're doing yajna, dan and tap, sacrifice, philanthropy and austerity, these are all things that are helping to purify your senses, clean up your senses, so you can sense the right way. The Homo sapiens has to have a lot of intellect. Sapien means sentience, which means wisdom. The Homo sapiens has become Homo sensualis in this world, totally directed by senses, unquestioned, do as I say. It has become such a servant. Unquestioning servant doesn't use its thinking process to determine whether what the mind is telling it to do is poor mind. It is only telling you what you had wished in the past. So why are we blaming the mind for what it is suggesting to us? The suggestions are coming because of the past activities we have engaged in a past life. So just understand that and tell it that it was the wrong one. I have my buddhi activated again. I can have the feelings of shame and guilt again. So there is no need to perpetuate this madness anymore. That is the power of Shreya, long-term gratification. Yadagre vishme pariname amritopamam tat sukham satvikam. What feels as poison in the beginning but nectar in the end, that is sattvic. And then there is yadagre chanu bande cha sukhan mohanmatmana nidra alasya pramaduttam tat tam samudaritam. From the beginning to the end, when happiness is shrouded by delusion in the mode of alasya, nidra alasya pramad. So laziness and sleep, and pramad is madness, heightened delusion is pramad. These are all tamasic tendencies. So these are the tendencies that happen in prayer, dopaminergic surge, let me just do it. the 7 seconds of happiness, Bill Clinton with Monica Lewinsky, or Tiger Woods with certain porn stars. All these things lead to a sudden surge. I have to do this. This craving seems uncontrollable, unquenchable. That is the play of tamas. That is the play of praya. That is the play of dopaminergic surge, causing an instant release of the neurotransmitter dopamine. Feel good, baby. Keep yourself in the loop. Let the delusion continue. So, my friends, sex and sadhana both are trying to find the unit, undistinguishable, and which cannot indivisible, called Satchit Anand or Shivchit. However, sex is using fragmental approach and sadhana is using the totalitarian approach. So there are 5 levels in which we can distinguish sadhana from sex. The 5 levels are of Prakriti, Maya, Guna, Karma, and Kathopanishad. At the level of Prakriti, sex is inciting the lower Prakriti. Bhumi, Rapu, Nalo, Vayu, Kham, Man, Ahankar, including the Indriya. Whereas sadhana is only using the buddhi or the intellect to understand the game. At the level of second platform, which is Maya, delusionary web, desires are dictating terms to us because Maya is the duality of polarity. So sex says, try to find distinguishing characters. Prithak tuin tu yaj jnanam nana bhavan prithak vidhan veti sarveshu bhuteshu tad vidhi rajasam. Use the rajasic power of distinction, classification and sub-classifications to say this is different from that and keep yourself engaged in this delusionary world of Maya. That is sex. Whereas sadhana says, hey, declassify. Break all the classifications, look at the unity as single, indivisible entity, Satchitanand. That is sadhana. Using the power of Bhakti Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, and Karma Yoga. The next is Guna. The Maya creates the Gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sex identifies as curiosity of Rajas and perpetuates in the indolent, lazy, constant practice inertia of ongoing sex. It's just like starting a fire. Then you cannot stop it. So the starting is the curiosity point of Rajas, and then there's a point of no return. You cannot stop yourself from engaging or completing the activity once you have engaged in the activity. That is the power of Tamas. Sadhana uses the power of Sattva. It observes these activities and it says, hey, there is something wrong here. Do as I say and not question you. What's wrong with you? It will question it. Sattva will question everything because it's the state of balance. Whereas the extreme polarity is created by the Maya, the Sattva tries to remain in the center. Don't do too much of anything. So the middle path, that is Sattva of sadhana, using Dhyan, Karma, and Bhakti Yoga. The next one is, of course, the level of karma. Whatever we engage in will reposit as Sanchit Karma in the arrow box or quiver. The more activities we have engaged with desire expectations, the more Sanchit Karmas we have that has to unfold again. All these arrows that are contained in this box of Sanchit Karma will be loaded one after the other. Just like the checked in baggage is returned to you at the end of the destination, these arrows of Sanchit Karma will be shot at you using the bow of Prakriti or Maya to return it to you. And they will be returned to you as prarabdha, as things unfolding, and you ask, why me? Because there are past samskaras that were sinking in your brain. You acted out a certain way. They have been deposited in the Sanchit. They're slowly being loaded off as prarabdha in your direction. That is why me. That is the understanding that the sadhana comes with. That prarabdha is unfolding in my direction. That's why I'm getting pain even if I'm pursuing good activities. Whereas sex doesn't question anything. It just keeps loading the Sanchit more and more by its relentless activities of pursuit of mindless sex. This is the practice of loading up and increasing your karma bandhan by sex, whereas destroying the arrows in the Sanchit karma with gracefully accepting outcomes or activities that are unfolding in the present despite doing the good of sattva as being sadhana. The last is Kathopanishad saying Shreya and Praya. Shreya is the long-term gratification that you get through the initially painful but later enjoyable practice of sadhana, which is in the realm of Bhakti Yoga. Karma Yoga, Dhyan Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is easy to engage in. Karma Yoga is still something you do as a middle path. And then in the end, you just enjoy Dhyan. When you don't want to do anything, there's nothing left to be done. Name parthastu kartavyam trishulakeshu kinchana nan vaptaptyam vartevcha karmani. There's nothing for me to do, Arjun, in these three lokas, but I still dispense my duty because I have to establish the Brahmanical neutrality. The Sat in Satchitanand has to be established. That is Shreya, that is Sadhana. So my friends, thank you for tolerating this long lecture. Hope you liked it. Please feel free to leave any comments if you have. Jai Shri Ram.